So Thula, what were you saying about being a better DJ?
I was just saying that after this,
Yeah.
we need to get some action because I'm a better DJ than some people.
Oh wow.
I'm not gonna point abantu, but I'm just saying.
You can DJ.
Yeah,
I've heard you DJ before. I just feel like you
Siri just said she doesn't know what you mean.
Yes, it's Siri.
Siri doesn't agree. Guys, welcome to another one of these awesome conversations that we're having. We at Good Stories have got a couple of our friends getting together to have conversations, documenting a good story in a weird and beautiful way, where we invite people over to our house and then we leave them to have a conversation by themselves while we prepare dinner.
This is our house?
They don't know.
Oh, okay. All right. We are at home, guys.
Yeah, this is home. We own a ton of books. We own a ton of books. So yeah, we've got Andy and our friend Miss Pru, and
AKA Prudence.
We'll stick to Miss Pru for the purposes of the video.
Yeah, Miss Pru. And then Thula's also here.
Oh wow! All right. I'm the VIP here. The idea is that we have some of our friends have the kind of conversations that we generally wouldn't actually have because I think we've been entrenched in the space for such a long time that maybe some of the things that we think people know actually don't know. So it's important to have people have the kind of conversations that you would have at home. So enjoy.
Yeah. So as mentioned before, this web series is called Connecting Parallel Lines. So we have two people that never would have connected before having a conversation, and hopefully in the end we'll have a connection.
So we're here talking about HIV. I know it's a conversation that we hardly talk about as young people, and we hardly meet people that have it. And this is the space where we can finally talk about such things, you know? So I'd like to know, like, when did you find out and when did your journey start?
The journey originally started 20 years ago. You know, your life doesn't fall apart in one fell swoop, or doesn't seem to at the start. So I started getting involved in spiritual concepts, and I made certain commitments to myself in the way that my life should change.
Yeah.
And the HIV diagnosis came after that, 3 years after that, because it's now been 17 years.
So how did you find out?
Because my partner was.
Oh.
And I went to get tested, and yes, obviously when I had heard the result from my doctor, initially it was a shock, but then I just shut down in a heartbeat. I went into total denial and never discussed it or spoke about it with anyone for at least a year or so.
It's crazy because 17 years ago, HIV was like, it was like a gun to someone's head.
Yes.
It's something that was very, like, if you talked about it, it was like, you're gonna die tomorrow type of thing. So how did you deal with the social pressures at the time?
It was easy because I didn't tell anybody. My partner knew, my doctor knew, that was it.
And that was it.
But because everything else began falling apart also, I reached the point where I now had to deal with this. I couldn't limit it to only the HIV because everything was falling apart.
Yeah.
So I had to start dealing with my life in a very real way. And obviously, the HIV diagnosis had to come out for me to deal with it.
And did you lose any friends during the process? Because back then it was like, if you touch me, you've got it, you know?
You know, I started, because of my understanding, I started seeing a life skills coach, and I started processing it. And I then, obviously, before I told my family, I actually tested it out on my friends first to make sure that I was comfortable sharing it, because I knew that the family would be more difficult than friends.
And did you lose any friends?
No.
They're still with you?
Yes.
How do you now tell the next person, should you break up with your previous partner, that, you know, this is what's happening with my life, are you in or are you not? Like, is it that, does the conversation go that way? Like, yo, bro, this is what's happening. I got it. Are you okay with it?
I've had those conversations, and you know,
And how does it start also?
I started it because initially, because my last relationship, serious relationship, was very challenging, I used it, actually, the HIV as a way out. And I would try and use it so that they would want to say, no, I don't want to see you.
As a
and
way
then
out
they would,
how?
because that they wouldn't want to see me, perhaps because I'm HIV positive. And then they would look at me and say, well, so, yeah, what, you know? And then I had to get real because there wasn't a way out.
Yeah.
They didn't see it as an issue. But
And they keep you closer because you were more open about it.
I think so. You know, we need to understand that life is a reflection of what's going on inside of you. So because I was accepting it within myself, I couldn't project that outward. If you're not comfortable within yourself, if you can't be open about it, you're going to project it. And the minute you share it with somebody else, they're going to reflect back what you're feeling, your guilt, your whatever your judgments are of yourself.
Did you blame your partner at some point? Because I'd be furious because you'd think your partner would know that they have it and they wouldn't want to give it to you. You know, they want to try and protect you at all costs. So how did you deal with him at the time?
I never blamed him because going into the relationship, I openly knew that he was already HIV positive. And my thinking
And
at the
was
time...
he on medication at the time? Or?
No. We took all the necessary precautions, but my thinking was simply this. I could meet somebody that didn't disclose anyway. And then how would you deal with it? What would be the real difference?
Yeah.
Because not everybody discloses that they are. So you don't know it. So the fact that I knew it up front and we took the necessary precautions, you believe you're going to be okay. Or you trust that you're going to be okay.
And how long did it take you to start taking medication? Because I feel like once you start processing that you have, that you're HIV positive, now you have to process that you have to take pills for the rest of your life, you know?
I only started 9.5 years after diagnosis.
9 years after?
9.5 years after, yes.
And were you being healthy throughout, or were you...
Yes.
Drinking, smoking, partying, living your life?
That's never really been my kind of lifestyle. So no. You know, obviously I drink, but I'm not in excess because it's not the way I do things. But my health was good.
And for you to start taking medication, was it because you started getting sick, or was it because now you can take medication?
No, because my doctor said my viral load went from a count of about 90,000 to nearly 140,000 in 3 months. And my doctor said to me, I would like you to reconsider, because there were several times before he had wanted me to start, and I said, no, it's not time.
Seriously?
Yes.
And you trusted your body to carry you throughout?
I trusted my spiritual judgment to carry me throughout.
Through the 9 years?
Because when you're guided in the way to live, you come from a whole different place. Then your body of itself has no power. All power is in the mind.
You know what I've seen, like a lot of young people, I don't know if it's the generation now or whatever, but a lot of young people will find out that they're HIV positive, or they won't find out and pass on within, like, very quickly. You know, they won't take 9 years for them to not take medication. Like, it happens so quickly. So, which is also quite alarming that right now, that's how it's going. And for you to last for 9 years without meds.
I think a lot of people still believe, because they don't understand things, that it's still a death sentence.
Yeah.
They don't. There's a deeper meaning to why you attract such a thing into your life. My understanding is this: we attract something like HIV because we don't love ourselves particularly very much. And it's to teach us to send that fear energy back to where it came from, turning it back into love. So, you know, the point is also, if you need medication, then listen to the doctor. You know, if you're in that place where you're fearful about things, you need to trust that your doctor's there to take care of the body. I went in, after starting the medication, I went in a space of less than 3 months to undetectable. And my doctor sat in the same chair and said to me, it's not supposed to happen so quickly.
Is it that you equals to you thing? Because I've seen it a lot on social media. Like, I don't even know what it stands for. Like, undetected equals to...
Undetected means you can't transmit it.
Yeah, but I've seen a hashtag, I swear, on social media was hashtag you equals you. I don't know what that means. Like, if you're undetected, then you can't pass it on to the next person.
No, that's absolutely true.
And this is through medication?
Yes, because it reduces your viral load to undetectable.
Yeah. So how do we educate these young people about, HIV/AIDS? I had a conversation once with a lady, and she said to me, we were talking about someone that we know that is HIV positive, and she was just like, "Oh, imagine!" So now all of a sudden, if you hang out with them, and and they still have that stigma, and I was just thinking to myself, dude, like there's still people like you in 2019 that are gonna talk about HIV in that way. How do we now educate people like that? Like, how do we? I know conversations start here.
Yes.
But how do we now, continue educating them?
I think by sharing our stories more, that those of us that have learned to live with it and deal with it differently can perhaps pass something on to people who don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Who are still in that frame of mind that this is a death sentence. I've coached people who really found it very difficult to handle, and when they had to start the medication, they've had it sitting on their shelf
for a long time,
for a while, and I just can't bring myself to take it. And for me, it's like taking a vitamin. What's the big deal? What do you want for yourself? What do you want for your life? And if you learn the deeper lessons from it, then it takes a backseat anyway. I don't wake up each day and thinking, oh my God, I'm HIV positive. How am I going to make it through the day? It's not even a thought.
On the next episode of Connecting Parallel Lines by Good Stories.
Because I'm thinking, 17 years ago, we're black, and you're telling your parents, I'm HIV positive. We're going to go see a Sangoma to consult about, is this true? Go to the second one for a second consultation because you don't believe it. If the bones are thrown differently, you're going to go to the next one,